Wilford Johnson, who went by his middle name, Ray, was a veteran of the United States Navy. In 2017, the 90-year-old was a widower, having lost his wife Ola, and lived on his own in Longview, Washington. He was considered a fixture in his community, active in his church, and always willing to help his neighbors. He had 4 children, 7 grandchildren, and 15 great-grandchildren, all of whom he enjoyed spending time with. Even at his advanced age, Ray's mind was sharp, and he made sure to keep physically active. On June 29, 2017, sometime between 9 and 10 a.m., Ray's neighbors saw him out for his daily walk. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Ray. Ray's family reported him missing the following morning. His silver 2001 Honda Accord was also missing from the home, but was located later that night. However, its discovery only added to the mystery of Ray's disappearance. The car was found in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest in Skamania County on National Forest Road 93. This location was more than 130 miles away from Ray's home. According to Ray's family, he had no reason for being in that area. He also had not driven on the freeway in more than 7 years. One of the car's windows was broken when it was found, but police were quickly able to discover why. Pictures of the car were posted on Facebook, and police interviewed the 3 young men who uploaded the images. The young men, unaware that the car belonged to a missing person, found it abandoned and decided to break the window so that they could steal some small items inside of it. Authorities do not believe the young men were involved in Ray's disappearance. The area where the car was found was searched multiple times by multiple agencies, but nothing related to the case was found. Ray's family believes that he was most likely attacked in Longview, and that his assailant then drove his car out of town. Ray carried a large amount of cash with him, making robbery a potential motive. A clerk from a dollar store in Longview did come forward after Ray went missing, saying that a man matching Ray's description had been in his store around noon, the day Ray went missing. However, the store's security footage was not of a good enough quality for Ray's family to tell if it had in fact been Ray in the store that day. Ray did shop at that store, but authorities consider this sighting to be unconfirmed. Ray's disappearance remains unsolved. Hattie Brown was an accomplished member of the United States Army, which she entered in 1980. She became the first woman in her unit to attend airborne school and to earn her Air Assault badge. She achieved the rank of Sergeant First Class and served in Operation Desert Storm in 1991. In 1998, Hattie left the Army so that she could help take care of her aging mother. Hattie was one of 11 siblings and would do anything to help her family. It appears as though Hattie was helping a family member the last time she was seen. Surveillance cameras at a Sheetz gas station at the intersection of Highways 501 and 58 in Riverdale, Virginia, captured the last known images of 48-year-old Hattie on May 16, 2009, at 2:30 a.m. Hattie was with her nephew, Derek Brown. Their family believes that Hattie must have been helping Derek because she would not normally be out at that hour. There have been no sightings of her since she left the gas station in her car with Derek. Hattie had organized a bridal shower for her soon-to-be sister-in-law, but failed to show up for the event, which alerted her family that something was wrong. Several other details led them to fear that something terrible had happened to Hattie. While Hattie's car, a 2003 Volkswagen Jetta, went missing with her, her wallet, credit cards, medication, and driver's license were all left at her home. Her family says that she never left home without them. She also left behind her beloved Chihuahua Grasshopper, which her family says she would not have done willingly. Virginia State Police monitored Hattie's bank records, but had few other avenues of investigation to follow during the first few weeks after Hattie went missing. That changed on July 7, 2009. That day, a farmer was cutting hay on his property in southeastern Halifax County, Virginia, approximately 15 miles from the gas station where Hattie had last been seen. Behind an old barn, he discovered a badly burned Volkswagen Jetta that appeared to have been behind the barn for some time. When authorities examined the vehicle, they discovered that it belonged to Hattie Brown. The discovery of the vehicle led to speculation that someone local was involved in Hattie's disappearance, because only someone who lived in the area would know that that farmer very rarely visited that section of his property. Following the discovery of the car, Derek Brown was named a person of interest in the case. He and several other people authorities believe may have information about what happened to Hattie have not cooperated with the investigation. Derek has never been charged in relation to his aunt's disappearance, but is currently in prison for burglary and will be released in 2022. 7 years after Hattie went missing, her family made the difficult decision to have her declared legally dead. 3 of Hattie's brothers have passed away in the 10 years since she went missing, never knowing what happened to their sister. Vincent "Vince" Wesselman was a veteran of the United States Army. Even after leaving the Army, he remained dedicated to serving others. While he was employed by a stove company, and later a formal wear shop, he was most well known for the work he did on a volunteer basis. He used a week of his vacation time every year to volunteer at a Catholic retreat camp, and he was a longtime volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. He loved to garden, and donated the produce he grew to a local food bank. Vince was not married, and had no children of his own, but was dedicated to his large family. He had 11 siblings, and numerous nieces and nephews. When he built himself a house in Breeze, Illinois, in the mid-1960s, he had his parents, as well as several of his younger siblings, move in with him. He took care of his parents until their deaths. In 2011, 75-year-old Vince finally retired. He was just a few weeks into his retirement when Holy Week began. As a devout Catholic and an active member of St. Augustine Church, Vince had plans to attend church on the several days leading up to Easter Sunday. He spent most of Holy Thursday, April 21st, tearing out flooring in his house that needed to be replaced with his brother, Jerry. The last known sighting of Vince was at 5 o'clock that evening, when a neighbor saw him walking down North 1st Street in front of the Breeze Grain Company. Vince liked to stay active, walking or biking every day. Part of his daily routine was also walking down to the post office to buy a newspaper. It is believed that this is what he was doing when he was seen by his neighbor. He has not been seen since. Because Vince was close with his family, they knew that something was wrong when they could not get a hold of him to discuss their plans for Easter. On Saturday morning, 2 of his sisters went over to his house to check on him. His church clothes were laid out on the bed, waiting to be worn for one of the Holy Week services. Vince's car, bike, wallet, and keys were all inside the home, which showed no signs of forced entry or a robbery. The only thing missing was their brother. The community that Vince had given so much to now came together to try to help him. Members of the community went door to door, asking for information and searching small buildings. Others took their boats out on area bodies of water to search. 2 search and rescue teams, a small aircraft, and nearly every fire department in Clinton County were a part of the search for Vince. A pond was drained, and firefighters pumped water out of an old cellar at the grain company. Neither Vince nor any clues indicating what may have become of him were found, despite the massive effort. In July of 2018, Vince was declared legally dead, and his family held a memorial mass for him. They have not given up hope of finding answers, however. A $10,000 reward is still being offered for information in Vince's case. Bill Iwasco was a 65-year-old Vietnam War veteran who lived in Marietta, Georgia. He was an avid outdoorsman, going on hikes throughout Georgia. He also loved Joshua Tree National Park in California and made a visit there almost every year. On June 23, 2010, Bill flew from Georgia to Los Angeles. He rented a car at the airport and drove to Rancho Mirage, where he would be staying in a vacant condo that belonged to a friend. The following morning, he drove to the park for his first day of hiking. Bill had left a detailed itinerary of the hikes he planned to make on this trip, not all of which were within Joshua Tree National Park, back in Marietta with his girlfriend. Mary Winston. Mary was concerned about the hike Bill was planning to make on that first day. Bill wanted to hike out to Carey's Castle, an old miner's hut. The site is so unstable and in such a remote location that the National Park Service does not include it on most maps in an effort to keep people from trying to visit it. Bill had reassured Mary while he was still in Georgia, and when he spoke to her on the phone during his drive to the park, that he would be fine during his solo hikes. He made plans with her to call her around 5 p.m. that night, when he estimated he would complete the hike. He was then going to go to dinner at Pappy and Harriet's, a restaurant in nearby Pioneer Town. However, Bill did not call Mary by 5 p.m. that evening. She began calling him, but all of her calls went straight to his voicemail. By the time enough time had passed that she was sure something was wrong, the park's headquarters had closed. It would not be until 8 o'clock the following morning that she would be able to get in contact with a park ranger and alert them to the fact that Bill was missing. Park rangers immediately traveled to the trailhead where Bill would have parked in order to hike out to Carey's Castle, but Bill's rented white Chrysler Sebring was not there, and it appeared as though no vehicles at all had been there in some time. The car would not be found until almost 5 p.m. the following day, when a California Highway Patrol helicopter spotted it parked near the Juniper Flats trailhead, which was a 90-minute drive from the Carey's Castle trailhead. This was a common parking area for hikers who were planning to hike up Quail Mountain. Quail Mountain had been listed on Bill's itinerary for his trip, so the search efforts centered on this location. Search and rescue groups from all across Southern California came out to help look for Bill. Volunteers searched on foot and on horseback, and helicopters and small aircraft scanned the area from above. Dogs were brought in to try to track Bill's scent. Databases and algorithms were applied to the case and the terrain in an effort to refine the search area. A major but confusing clue came from Bill's cell phone records. At 6:50 a.m. on June 27th, 3 days after Bill went missing, his phone pinged off a Verizon cell tower just outside of the park. Bill's phone was 10.6 miles from the tower, which was above the town of Yucca Valley to the northwest of the park, when it pinged off of it. However, this location was so far from Quail Mountain that officials doubted that Bill could have reached it on foot in 3 days. Numerous theories about technological or environmental factors that could have skewed the data provided by the cell phone tower have been suggested, but none of them have been confirmed. This ping was the only activity on Bill's cell phone after he entered the park, most likely because of the lack of service in some of the remote areas he was in, or because he turned off his phone to conserve its battery. Despite a meticulous search that seemingly covered every square inch of a massive search area, Bill was not found. The official search was finally called off on July 5th. While the official search for Bill is long over, unofficial searches for him continue to this day. By 2018, other hikers had cataloged more than 1,000 miles of trails that they had searched for Bill's remains. Despite such extensive efforts, Bill has still not been found. Demakia Finizzi served in the United States Army for 5 years. In 2007, the 26-year-old mother of 3 was living in Verona, Mississippi. She was going to school to get her degree in criminal justice and was working as a security guard at the Fillmore Center, an alternative school in Tupelo, Mississippi. The Fillmore Center would be the location of the last known sighting of Demakia. On October 12th, she dropped a friend off at the center in her red Pontiac Grand Am. Later that day, she failed to pick up her children from her sister's home, and her sister reported her missing to the Verona Police Department. Demakia's vehicle was eventually found at the Warfield apartment complex on Jackson Street in Tupelo. According to witnesses, the car had been driven into the parking lot at a dangerous speed, and an African-American man in a white t-shirt and blue jeans had run from the car after parking it, disappearing behind one of the apartment buildings. J.B. Long became the new police chief of Verona in January of 2008. Because Demakia's case had already gone cold by the time he was put in charge of it, he made the decision to turn the case over to the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation in hopes that their more extensive resources would be able to finally move the case forward. In March of 2008, authorities put up a digital billboard with Demakia's picture and case information in hopes of generating new leads, but nothing came of the effort. According to Demakia's family, she would never have abandoned her children. Her disappearance remains unsolved.